If you're Black and applying for a loan right now, there's a real chance that the decision won't be made by a person, but by an algorithm trained on decades of discrimination. And there's a quiet policy happening that could even make it harder to challenge that decision. If that sounds familiar, it should because we've been here before. Let me ask you this. Could an algorithm quietly deny your loan without you ever knowing really why? Sounds like science fiction, but for many Black families, it's starting to feel like history repeating itself. Because while tools have changed, the outcome really hasn't. Before we talk about what's changing right now, we have to talk about why fair lending laws exist in the first place. These laws were not created randomly. They were created because for decades, banks openly discriminated against Black Americans. They drew red lines around Black neighborhoods, literally making them places unworthy of investment. It didn't matter if you had a steady job. It didn't matter if you paid your bills. If you lived in the wrong neighborhood, you were shut out. That's the practice of redlining. It's one of the reasons why the racial wealth gap still exists. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. understood this clearly. Near the end of his life, he said, "What good is it for having the right to sit at a lunch counter if you can't afford to buy a hamburger and a cup of coffee?" Civil rights without economic justice is an illusion. Now, fast forward to today. The red lines aren't drawn on maps anymore. They're written into data. And this is where the story stops being abstract and starts affecting real families. Right now, civil rights groups are raising concerns about a proposed rule change at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB. They warn that it could quietly weaken the tools used to detect discriminatory lending. When enforcement gets weaker, discrimination doesn't disappear, it just becomes harder to see. Instead of a banker saying no to your face, an automated system flags your application. The denial becomes vague, no clear explanation, no person to question, and no one to hold accountable. This is what experts are calling modern day redlining. Now, let me be clear with this and let me make it real. Imagine a Black borrower who has done everything right: stable income, good credit, a carefully prepared loan application. On paper, they're qualified. But the algorithm making the decision has been trained on historical data shaped by decades of unequal access. It doesn't look at race directly. Instead, it looks at zip codes, employment patterns, and financial data tied to communities that were already marginalized. Geography becomes a stand in for race. The loan is denied, the explanation is unclear, and the system keeps moving. Alphonso David, president and CEO of the Global Black Economic Forum, puts it plainly: policies matter, systems matter, and silence is not neutral. Because this is not just about one loan. It's about who gets to buy a home, who gets to start a business, who gets to build wealth, and who gets locked out. That's why this moment matters so deeply for Black families and Black entrepreneurs. Wealth building in this country has never been evenly distributed, and policy decisions like this can widen that gap. Now, here's the part I want you to hold on to because you're not powerless. If you're applying for credit, you have the right to ask questions. Ask what data is being used to evaluate you. Ask whether a human reviewed the decision. Ask for specific reasons if you're denied, not vague language. And pay attention to patterns. One denial might be a fluke, but patterns tell a story. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's this: redlining didn't end, it just evolved. And understanding how it works today is how you protect yourself tomorrow. So here's my question to you. Now that you know how modern lending decisions are being made, what's one step you'll take to protect yourself or someone else you care about the next time credit is on the line?